And we have guests, and I think there's some more people coming too, but I'm not sure. They said they were coming, so we'll see. So we have a quorum, so we can do and vote and do stuff. So the first thing is the previous minutes from last month, and those were mailed out. Did anybody have any issues with any of those? They were electronically mailed out. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll take a motion in order to approve those minutes from last month, for June 1. Somebody make that motion?
I second it.
And seconded, made and seconded.
Second,
All in
yeah.
favor, aye? Aye.
Yeah.
No? Okay, so those were approved from June. I'm not sure what, the review of bill schedules are from
These are
last
the
month?
ones that I signed.
Hmm?
They're the ones I signed,
Oh, the ones you signed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
and we just signed 2 today.
okay. Okay. Any questions about any of those guys? Okay, fine. And we did just sign the additional bill schedule, so those are all set. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
Welcome. So now we come to the Meals on Wheels report, which, would you like to handle that?
Yeah,
Okay,
I tried to reach out to Bev, but I didn't hear back from her. But I've been kind of going back and forth with Jessica from Mock anyways.
good. And so can you tell us how many people are getting meals?
I don't have that
Oh,
information in front of
okay,
me, no.
all right. All right, well, Beverly has, somewhere down here further, I think it says it, but anyway, Beverly has resigned, and we need to find a replacement for her. But she can't do the Meals on Wheels anymore. So I'm assuming that you're gonna take that over, at least until you find someone else that you
Mhm.
want to do that.
Mhm.
And we do need to kind of get an idea how many people are getting them. And as everybody knows, I hope we distribute them Tuesdays and Thursdays by 2 different people. Okay, any other questions on the Meals on Wheels?
So I had one question. So I found out by myself that anybody who wants Meals on Wheels, all they have to do is reach out to Mock themselves, and Mock takes all of the application things down. So then we just track how many people that they're serving every week.
You need to know, we need to know who's asking for them because it has to do with our schedule.
Okay.
But outside of that, yes, we don't approve them, they do, and they go through the process of determining whether they're eligible,
Right.
because some people are not eligible.
And then when we get those names in, we let our Meals on Wheel drivers know. where
Yeah,
they're
they
gonna
get
go.
a
Okay.
weekly,
Do people know how to get do people know how to get in touch with Mark?
So I've had a couple of
that's
phone calls
what
where,
Beverly did, yeah.
yeah, I've had a couple of phone calls where people have asked, so I've just
Yeah.
sent their.
Forwarded on,
Mhm.
yeah, okay,
Could probably put that in the Part of House News too, right?
I did put that in the
It's
last.
nice.
yeah, good. Okay, anything else on Meals on Wheels? There's been a couple that have come on and one that's gone off, it just keeps floating around a little bit. Anyway, so the van is got its inspection time is up again, yearly inspection thing. In addition to that, yesterday I discovered that the repair job on the leaking roof is almost complete, but not complete, because when it poured rain yesterday, we got some drips coming in again, so that has to go back to them to fix, to fix whatever they didn't fix for the leak. But outside of that, everything else is okay, I guess. And that needs to be addressed by, well, August is the date for the inspection, so by next month sometime we have to get that, or in next month sometime we have to get that done. I don't think anything else about vans. Oh, the other van issue is the van that we have money set aside in the state budget for us to purchase one. It's not us to purchase it, they're gonna buy it for us, but the budget has the line item in it for the Berlin van. It's 50 grand. And it is now, as you probably know from watching the news and stuff, the budget just got moved out of the legislature and onto the governor's desk a day or so ago. And it has been stalled. They've been fiddling around, so. It now is on his desk, and it now has to get through his desk and get past any line item veto which he has, which means that you don't know for sure you get stuff until it gets through his desk. So we're sitting on that. But that could be a political football, because, you know, it's the way the state does business and the way people try to influence what's happening with the purchase of things can cause some political recurrences. So I don't want to guarantee anybody that we still have the money. We'll see. I think that's all on the vans. Okay, this insurance for drivers is hi, welcome. The insurance for drivers is an issue we talked about last month and we've talked about it before. I think we need to address this. It needs to get brought to some kind of conclusion, because the present arrangement is a very weak solution for drivers of their own vehicles. The basic, in a nutshell, it says that your insurance pays up until you run out of money in your insurance, and then the town will take over and pay the rest. That's not quite exactly how it works. What happens is your insurance company decides what they're going to pay, if they're going to pay, and then you sue the town to get your money back for any. So that's not really quite what anybody in their right mind would agree to do if they're going to transport people more than once in a while. You know, if you're next to a neighbor or whatever, that's a different story. But on a regular basis, that could be detrimental to your livelihood, your house, your home, and everything. So that needs to get somehow sorted out. And other towns have solved it, because I just saw something about Hubbardston's, I think it was Hubbardston's COA has just been addressing that issue too. So we need to find out how we get insurance. Oh, by the way, I talked to one of my insurance friends who is not our carrier or anybody, just a friend of mine, and he said, you know, you may be really sticking your neck out a long way further than you think, because we reimburse people either by working off from a tax bill or their mileage or whatever. No matter how we do it, they become town employees. And then that means that they're using their vehicle becomes sort of a town activity. It becomes now a commercial use. And so some insurances, you don't have any way to argue that, but they could say, oh, you're doing it for commercial purposes, your policy doesn't cover commercial, you own it all. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot here that needs to be addressed. And I think it's kind of high on the priority scale. Yours truly has been doing this for a long while and sort of playing a game, what do you want to call it? Taking a risk.
Okay, you know, I'll address it after. Go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, that needs to be researched, and we need to get an answer on that, because I don't know how long I would be able to continue to do it, and I don't know if anybody else would be wanting to do what I'm doing without some kind of protection. Okay, anything else on that for vans?
Wouldn't you think that if somebody was going to drive their own vehicles in their own insurance, they'd need liability on their own insurance to drive somebody else?
Yeah, and you do.
Most people do.
You do. The problem is that you're not yourself anymore, because you're now an employee of the town.
Mm-hmm.
You're working in a different capacity, and so the insurance you bought was for a homeowner driving back
Right.
and forth
No,
to
and I
work.
completely agree, because I also agree that hopefully if we get this new van at some point, we're just using the van instead of
That would be
regular
great.
vehicles.
Yeah, that would be great. At the moment, let me just talk about that a little bit. The present van is very difficult for a particular group of people. Hi, no, come on in.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're not. You're not at all. Come on in. This is Margaret is our brand new town administrator for a long time. You don't know.
Hello.
And I won't try to pronounce your last name.
No, yeah, don't bother.
Yeah. Welcome. We were just talking about insurance on private vehicles
Yeah.
and the fact that there's a great deal of question as to whether we have
Yeah.
coverage for our private vehicles transporting people on town business, namely town elderly people
Yeah.
to various sort of places.
Mhm.
Okay, so the vehicle itself, the van we have now, and I don't know what we'll end up with in the end, but what else we also, that vehicle is very difficult for elderly people to climb into. There's a set of stairs they have to go up, and if they have a walker or something, then you kind of have to put them on a lift. But that flies in the face of some stuff that DOT and ADA don't really approve of, because there's no way to secure a standing person on the lift that goes up. There's a belt you can put around them, but it's not secure in any way. They would easily fall off. And the requirements for the operation of that lift don't allow the operator to ride on it with them, that is to sort of protect them so they don't fall. You're not supposed to do that, because the possibility is you might fall. So it's complicated. That being said, it's very easy for them to get into the front of a car and to put their walker in the back. But you can only carry one or two at a time that way. So when we get to the point where it's transporting 3 people at a time, you gotta use the van. They just can't fit everybody and all their toys, all their equipment with them in a small vehicle, personal vehicle.
Can I ask a question? In
Sure,
the
you
van,
can, sure.
on the lift van, if you set them in a wheelchair and lift it up, does that wheelchair lock in and then lift them in and then help them?
There is a procedure you use to move wheelchairs onto the van, but they don't necessarily have a wheelchair. Many of them do not. They're walker bound, they have the little things.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is you bring one with you, you put them in it, and then you lift them up.
And in a wheelchair, it's very easy to. There's a way to do that properly, and we're trained to do that, but that isn't the same issue. We're talking about the ones that are ambulatory. So.
I think he's suggesting putting them in a wheelchair.
Put them in a
put him in a
wheelchair
wheelchair.
and lift them up.
Yes.
Bring a wheelchair with you.
Yes.
Wheel them on,
Possible.
lift it up,
That is possible.
then you fold it and put it back.
That's very
Keep one on the
possible.
van.
Yes.
Keep one on the
Yeah,
van.
that's possible.
But
Because then at the end of the day, there are gonna be people that would like to use our services that we can't help,
Oh, yeah,
those
there's
that
some
need
that
to
you
get,
can't, yeah.
right.
Yeah, there are some that either have issues that require attention that somebody else needs to go with them for various reasons, or they're just not available. We just can't simply handle them because of their illness. But so far, I don't think we've ever had that happen. Margaret?
I apologize again for coming in late and maybe I missed this part of the conversation, but the policies, the draft policies that you're reviewing, we've actually sent them off to our town insurer for review for all the safety things.
Yeah.
And they have in turn, they've reviewed them, they've given sample policies to make sure that security, insurance, criminal background, everything is covered. They've in turn gotten back to us with some other sample policies that they have that we can certainly share with you when I get to them. What is that?
They haven't gotten there yet.
No, not just yet.
No, they haven't got there at all yet.
Oh, they haven't, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I'll wait. I thought you were already talking about that.
Well, we kind of are. You can continue because I'm not sure.
Yeah, we
I
can
don't-
skip it at the bottom.
Yeah.
We can just continue.
We'll just hold it down.
Just continue? Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to know that those policies are, our insurer is undergoing a review of them to make sure that we're properly covered and that the riders would be properly covered. And also, they've recommended that we send the policies off for further legal review to make sure all the legalities are met. So I just wanted to let you know where we're at with a comprehensive review of the policies.
Well, that's great. The thing that, and I'm assuming you are doing that, but it isn't the van that we own that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty easy because that's a town vehicle. The town owns it. So if you have an accident or somebody falls out of the van, it's good.
Yeah.
It's for your private vehicle that the problem exists.
So that's why these van policies are being proposed to actually utilize the van for the transportation purposes, for senior transport.
You're missing it. That's one part of it. There's 2 parts to this. One is transporting them in the town-owned vehicle. The other is transporting them in a non-town-owned vehicle.
So if if the town adopts the van policies for town use, any seniors transported in a private vehicle are not going to be covered under the town's insurance. So if that, hopefully that answers your question.
It does and it doesn't. Because,
doesn't,
It doesn't because we end up having to use private vehicles anyway.
Okay, so I
So it's
think there would
complicated,
have to be, yeah, that would be complicated, and that's something that we're gonna have to talk more about, because
Yeah.
once a van's put in place, and there's authorized use of the van for town purposes, we wouldn't be doing private vehicles
Well,
for
that's
human,
what- that's the
for human
discussion.
transport, maybe for, you know, Meals on Wheels, things like that,
So
so.
that's the whole point,
Okay.
and that's what we're talking about. I was
Okay.
just saying to Holly before you got here that other towns have figured out a way to do that legally.
It's gotta be a way to do that.
So we need to look into that.
To use a
research.
van and private vehicles.
Private vehicles, yes, somehow. And I think it was Hubbardston was the last one I saw on one of the MPOA, bulletins or whatever, one of the emails.
We're actually meeting with our insurance rep next week. I can ask about that. It would seem to me, though, that the drivers of the private vehicles or the van would be subject to the same governing policies. So the drivers, whether van or not, if personal vehicles could be used, the driver would still be subject to all the requirements of the driver policies.
Yeah, that's true, and I mean,
Okay.
basically this is already in place and already
Okay.
working. Everybody gets Cory checked, everybody, whatever, they check their driving.
Okay.
Goes through the police and they check that too.
Okay.
That part is kind of like, we've done it. We can do it again, but we've done that once or twice. But the question is this great big gaping hole where what happens if? And that's not clearly understood, and insurance people say that we are running great risk of using our own vehicles to do it.
Well, we have to find out. I mean, we have to find out if that is going to be a decision that's made where private vehicles are used in addition to the van. What rules, I mean, there are going to have to be rules in place that are consistent between the
Yeah.
two. And what kind of insurance implications are there for
That's
use of
correct.
personal vehicles? That's something we can ask. I hadn't given that
And
much thought to
as
that.
you will notice, well, you probably haven't got a copy of it, but the agenda,
Yeah.
this has been an article that's been on the agenda for several times.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to kind of get addressed. Because one of the things we have to do is say no to people if we end up with a situation where we have two people going the same place in different directions, same time in different directions. So right now, we're trying to work the schedule to make it fit. But that also sometimes requires a private vehicle to go to Worcester and another one to go to Marlboro at the same time. So either
How
that or
often does
you
that
don't-
happen though?
Pretty frequently,
So,
yeah.
George, the last time we met, we discussed about needing to hire another van driver.
Yeah,
Does that mean you're stepping down from driving?
I'd like to.
Because if that means that, then it's going to have to be that we're going to have to work around the one vehicle that we have, instead of having two different ones going out in different ways.
And/or find a solution which we just talked
Well,
about.
because we're only going to be budgeted for one driver at this point. We're not going to be budgeted for two, so we have to be careful that we're not overlapping and spending money where we don't have it.
There's no one driver that'll ever do it all. You and I can't do
Well,
it all.
so the thought that, okay, we're just gonna jump ahead, I guess, a little bit. So I met with the personnel committee last week and we talked about the driver's job description and things like that.
Yeah,
And because it's going to be a per diem, when needed type of thing, we were thinking about hiring for two drivers, so making sure people know, like we're gonna have X, Y, and Z available to drive, and if you're only available, say, Tuesdays and Thursdays, the other driver will drive Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we need to put a clear-cut schedule in for the drivers, so that they know, like, when the van's going out, when the van's coming back in, so that, they're not doing any guesswork. Does that make sense?
no. It's not the way it works.
But that's
Because
that's what we're working on to
I
change.
I
those
understand what
things.
you're saying, and I understand all that, Jess, but reality is what really happens.
I
And what really
understand- no.
happens is a different thing altogether. We don't have
So-
people sitting around waiting for a ride or whatever. They're all prearranged, and that's done by email and telephone and so
Correct.
forth. So we know who's going where, when.
Yes, they'll still be prearranged, but this way, so we don't have, you know, people working at the same time but going in different directions. You know, they're gonna be responsible for a daily shift, for whatever.
Bringing
Can't do
people,
that.
So that person who's working the daily shift can't be in two places
Can't
at
be in
once?
two places at one time.
So what now? And
But
besides
we're-
the fact that you already have people that are committed to doing this, well, they're sick, but.
do we have a driver's log now of the runs that have been made through personal vehicles?
Oh, yes, everything. All
You've got the log showing the times that the
Everybody,
vehicles are
where they
out?
go.
No, not the times, just.
No, not the times,
Just the
but.
date, the person's name, where they're picked up and where they're taken
Dropped
to.
off.
But you don't have a record of time showing where, what times the runs were
Well,
at?
you know the times because between the patient or the person
Yeah,
and the driver, you arrange the times because you
the pickup
can't.
and drop
Yeah,
off.
You
when
can't,
I call him, when I contact him with the people who requested rides, I tell him what time their appointments are or whatever. And then he works out his schedule based on that.
So with some, the other towns work, well, in the software that I'm getting that will be up by September 1st, when I plug people's rides into that software, it will also schedule it. So it will have the person's name, where they're going, how many miles, and you know, when they're coming back. So that, and the times, that will all compute into that one. As far as the schedules for, you know, how people do things daily, the other towns, what happens is if, say, Pat needs a ride to go somewhere at 8 and George needs a ride to go somewhere at 8:30, Pat, you might be on the you might be in the bus for an extra half an hour just because, so we can make those two rides happen. So they're,
Happens every day.
right,
That's right.
Happens
But
every day.
it can, I think to Holly's point, it can be scheduled that way. It's.
Good luck.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way because
Right.
Because I know.
you have to understand that this is real people, it's not a silly
Yeah.
program.
Right.
You have somebody who's taken to a hospital, they're left off,
and a lot of people.
and
have
they're
to
gonna be
sit in
picked
their
up at
cars
3:30,
5
but you find out, they call and they say, gee, the doctor was busy, surprise, and so I won't be done till 4. So now you gotta rearrange, and, I mean, if you have a full-time dispatcher, that's cool, but if you don't, which we don't. So there's a lot of stuff that isn't gonna work quite smoothly if you don't take into consideration all of the ways that this actually does work. Not the way it hypothetically might work, where somewhere else, but, anyway, we'll work on this some more. I don't know if we're gonna solve the problem today, but I see there's some more stuff down here on the, below that we'll talk about too. But the big issue here is, if you're not gonna use private vehicles, which is an option, then you're gonna change significantly the kind of service that we provide. Huge difference.
And how many vehicles are running simultaneously each day?
Well, never more than 2, never more
Yeah,
than
okay.
the big van and the private vehicle.
I see, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had more than that. But
George-
yeah,
We do need to look at the job description.
yeah.
So we changed the hourly to $14.99
That's
at
an
the
interesting,
bottom.
that's an interesting question. What are you gonna do about that with the work-off people?
What about the work on people?
Well, work-off people can't get $14.99. The law won't allow it.
We don't have any work-off drivers.
I beg your pardon.
Well, there won't be, yeah.
Well, I mean, for the Meals on Wheels. But
Oh,
they're not
this
gonna,
is-
but this is,
No, it's
this,
not the Meals on Wheels. I mean, that's true too, but they're not the only ones. Dennis is a work-off driver that's been doing it for 4 years now.
He's sort of like on medical leave now.
He's
Yeah.
on medical leave at the
So-
moment,
He's
but
coming back.
right.
he's coming
So
back.
we're gonna have, so when we met with the personnel committee, when I met with the personnel committee, what we're going to do is hire 1 to 2 drivers to take the Berlin residents to wherever they need to go, as long as we can accommodate it. I just lost track of where I was going here.
Yeah, okay.
The work off.
Oh, so the tax work-off, so we
I can speak to that.
thank you.
This is not gonna be a tax work-off program.
Right.
A van driver has to go through rigorous qualifications, testing. They're gonna have to go through medicals. They're gonna have to go through, the driver's test. They're gonna have to go through the Corey checks. This is not proposed to be a senior tax work-off program in the future because
Okay,
of
in
the
the future,
rigorous
okay.
qualifications.
Okay, well, that pretty much eliminates everyone except me. And the only one that can qualify them unless they go out to Springfield next week.
But that doesn't mean that I'm saying it's not gonna be a senior tax work-off program, but that doesn't mean that anyone who's currently driving can't be qualified to be a driver
Yeah, no.
for pay.
Right, to
For
be that
pay.
employer.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So, there's no way they can do the workout program and do this, is what you're
No.
saying? Okay.
No.
Well, that's a good change to know about. That probably will put in this,
I don't know.
I would guess.
Is there someone else too?
And I don't know what, I can't say to Ginny, I don't know how she's
Ginny
doing.
broke her arm or shoulder.
Collarbone, yeah. All right, well, we'll see what happens. This, I'd like to just see if we can take a look, everybody take a look at
I don't
this.
have one.
Oh, you don't have one?
I wasn't sure how many people were coming, so if we could just share.
Why don't we do this? Can you email that out, and we'll take a look at it and put it on the agenda for next time? Anybody have any objections to not?
Can we just go over it really quick while we're out here?
So the Board of Selectmen is scheduled to take this up on August 5th, so I wanted the COA to be able to look at this
Okay.
first, okay? It's probably the 30th agenda item I'm adding to that Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Be here till midnight.
Ooh. Who's gonna pay for the random drug testing?
Town's gonna pay for the random
Okay.
drug testing, just as they would for other drivers.
See, you know, that's, all that's not required for this vehicle, you understand that, right? I'm just saying, you know, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, well, after checking with our insurer, I think it is a best practice, so we can double check and make sure.
Let's be sure we all understand what's going on here, okay? This is not, for very specific legal reasons, a bus. It's 13 passengers or 13 bodies, including the driver.
Right. It's,
So it comes under a special provision of Mass law and federal, which allows people who don't have any special license to drive it.
right,
so-
it's for human transport and it's under the town's jurisdiction, so we want to be sure that we're capturing all the requirements that our insurer recommends.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fine. I'm just saying that you're going beyond what you need to do to meet the requirements of the vehicle. Anybody see anything that,
I think we're doing those things.
that we're doing them all anyway, so I don't know what, except that we're not doing a whiz quiz because it costs money and nobody ever volunteered to
It's a whiz quiz.
yeah, drug test. It's random, and it's, you know, whatever. It's part of what is required for a CDL.
Yeah.
But, and everybody who's really driving the van right now was a CDL or is a CDL. Anyway, but that's irrelevant, you know, it doesn't matter whether they were or are or am. Okay,
Looks good.
so we've read it, we have read, and we'll enter it into the minutes as having no objection. Does everybody agree with that? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. What else is on the agenda here?
Next one is Powder's news status for LPI.
Yeah,
So I would really like to go back and talk about LPI, and LPI was the liturgical press to do our newsletters. If you remember, you know, they make them in color. They do add advertisements. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because we have money and we would have extra money in our expense account if we had LPI making these newsletters for us for free. And the way they do it is they go out to town businesses and they get sponsorships to you know, pay to help get the newsletter out there. And I talked to June in accounting today, and the way it works is as long as it's being considered a sponsorship, so they're sponsoring to have Powder House News made, we can certainly send it out with postage.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I talked to numerous people down at Northbrook Village.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like all the commercial stuff on it, and they wanna see more things that go around in town, like recipes and that type of thing in it, because they find is that all this advertising, they're not getting to.
So I don't have any advertising in it right now.
Well, what was in the last, I didn't even get one of the last month, but somebody was complaining about it, because there's nothing pertinent to them, is what they said in
So they
it.
wanna see recipes? Recipes could be a feature in the
Recipes
newsletter.
was always a feature,
Okay.
okay? And, huh?
I just asked if we had a copy.
I don't have one.
I don't
I
have
didn't-
any.
I actually have one with me, one of the old ones.
Older ones, that some of the things that were in the older ones has not been in the newer ones, and that's what some of them are convincing about.
Okay, well, I don't have my hands on any old ones because those were not shared with me before. So I've just been going with what other people have said. But as far as the advertisements, the reason why personally I think that they're a good thing is because they do attract for the younger seniors.
You're talking about a lot of people that are from 75 to 95
I
That
said,
use services.
that use services in this town,
Mhm.
and they want to see something in there that pertains to them.
So here's one that has all of it. They don't like this here?
Well,
You know, Holly, that would be a really good, I don't wanna suggest work, but wouldn't that be a really good survey question? Seniors, what do you want to see in the newsletter?
that's it, so
Right.
that
well,
they
we
could
have
catch
talked,
people.
well, we have talked about sending out surveys before and then wondered how they're gonna get back to me.
Well, the thing is, they're not gonna fill them out. They don't.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
and of course, you're going into a lot of the computer stuff because your generation does it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're getting people 75 to 95, and they're not into the computer. We're hardly into the friggin' phones.
So,
And I know because I've got one. But I leave it in my handbag. My car talks to me. I don't need a car that talks to me.
so I guess I'm confused. So the seniors don't wanna see advertisements like these?
Yeah.
But
They
I
want to
think-
see things that are pertinent to them.
Okay, so when they add the advertisement into the newsletter, this doesn't take away from our newsletter. This is just extra pages in addition to. It's not anything,
And
so
it
it's
pays
not,
for it.
Huh?
And it
and it pays for it. So it's
Just
not
like
anything that's
newspaper.
being
Well,
taken
how did we
away.
pay for it before? We had all that stuff in it.
I'm not sure. I don't know how you paid for it before. From what I can tell, I read an old email from Joyce, and I don't know who Joyce is, but I guess she was on this board before. And she had emailed June, who was in accounting, and said that she was a little concerned about how the newsletter was being processed at that time because of those advertisements in there. And because they were asking for donations, and you can't ask for donations, they have to be sponsors. So what LPI does is they come into town, I sit down with them, we talk about the different businesses in town, and they go to those businesses to see if they'd be interested in sponsoring the Powder House News, and if they are, that comes back around and LPI prints our entire thing, we just have to mail them. Now, that would save us nearly $1,500 a year, if not more, because I spend almost $240 every 2 months just to print them. That doesn't even count to mail them. To mail them is $188.
Yeah,
So,
but there's no other way they're gonna get them if you don't mail them.
well, no, exactly. But what I'm
That's the
saying
thing.
is we could cut some of that, the cost in half by having LPI make these by getting sponsors. And then that doesn't come out of our expense. So
And
then
you-
there's money to be used for something else.
You could still mail them. They'd still be
Yes.
mailed. And in fact, you could include a little survey, right, in one of the newsletters. What do you want to see in the newsletter? You know?
You could.
The,
Can you request that they get sponsors from Berlin? So at least.
It'd only be Berlin.
Okay.
Yep,
good.
so it's only
Good.
Berlin, it's only
Maybe
Berlin
not.
businesses.
Is that
Good.
over?
This will be a little more relevant.
Right, so the only other one that, yeah, well, in Clinton
ours?
Savings Bank, because right now Clinton Savings Bank, they had donated
Video bank.
money,
They're not in the video bank.
to help mail it.
Clinton Savings Bank paid for all the postage.
Yeah,
for
they
years.
did, for years.
And,
And I don't know if they paid for the permit or not, but they paid
well,
for
and
the
Clinton
postage.
Savings Bank has been, so what happens is, I go and I submit a check to the town, then the town gets it from,
You don't see
the-
anything from
the
the Arches,
post
the
office.
Apple Arches.
and then it goes back to Clinton
the
Savings
general
Bank and it
store.
comes back into our account. It's,
I was gonna say,
I know
all
it's
these
a
new places.
big vicious circle, but that's the way it is, because Clinton
Oh,
Savings
well.
Bank did give us money this year.
Lumber company.
Yep, these
Yep.
are, these are LPI ones.
Yes, but I'm just saying.
And the other part of that is, if you look somewhere on that, you'll see there's a little thing about elder affairs. And they, at one time,
Yeah.
we used the formula grant money to subsidize the production of this newspaper.
Yes, and you
And
can.
so they are listed as one of the contributors to that. And you need to check with them about what their status is relative to
Well, so
a
one of the
paid
things,
paper.
right, well, so one of the things that I know of is that, in the formula grant requirements, as long as, if we're ever putting out a newsletter, we have to mention the elder services, and that's what, I didn't realize that up until this formula grant.
You have to do more than that. You have to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
Emmett if in fact we can use his money for
Yes,
this.
we can,
Based on the new formula you want to use, which is this publication with the advertising.
right, and I already know the answer to that, and that's yes.
Okay, so we'll get that in writing and then you're good for June, and then you can probably spend the money.
So, and I talked to them today, and it probably wouldn't be something, because there's a lot of process to go get the sponsors and stuff like that, so it probably wouldn't even
Yeah.
happen until
That-
January.
That's fine, it's just, you know,
But I have it, but I'm letting you know that I have it in writing, it's in
Yeah.
the formula grant papers.
good. We need to share some of that ahead of time to save a little more time, try to sort some of the stuff out. Anything else on that? Okay.
I have one thing on, if we get hold of some of these older Powder House News for you, I would think there'd be some articles and such in there that you recycle the information.
Sure.
Just
That's
pick
right,
it up
yeah.
and reuse it.
Bob?
That one that I had, it's on the town's webpage under the Council on Aging,
Yeah.
but they're all the old
They're old
ones, none of
copies,
the
yeah.
new
So you can
ones.
go online.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Bob, did you have a question?
Yeah, just on printing, does Assabet Voc have a program that involves printing, and have they ever been approached about printing Powder House News for us?
Who was that?
Assabet Vocational.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Years
think
ago.
that we did years ago,
Years
didn't
ago,
we? Yeah. And the problem is that it doesn't fit their school schedule very well.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have a deadline, and we used to try to get the thing out the first day of every 2 months. So Fran and I had to come to stick them for the 700 copies-ish?
Yeah.
About that, 700.
It's a lot of glue.
It's a yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah, it is.
so do I have the board's okay to move forward with the
Sure,
LPI to go
sure,
forward?
sure.
Okay.
Just with the caveat that you make sure that you're not making any mistakes by having the town pay for the postage with the advertisers there, and that Hammett or that, whatever, Elder Affairs has no grief with having them listed as a sponsor with the other things, because that's part of the deal, you know, it's not just what June says, it's, we gotta make sure that we,
Holly, I think
Yeah.
something from June, and then just something from Emmett backing that up, saying that the sponsorships are okay, because many senior centers use
Yeah.
LPI. So yeah, if we get something like that,
just so you cover yourself,
that'd be
that's all.
fine.
Thank you. All right. Where are we now?
My senior
Oh,
software
yeah, the
says.
software, yeah. okay.
So so I just sent them all the data of all the seniors in town last week, and I'm sitting down with them the second week of August, and they're gonna do some training with me to how to work it on the computer. If anybody wants to join, you're more than welcome. It's supposed to last about 3 hours or so, and then we'll be ready to go by September 1st by using that.
Okay. So your goal is to switch over to that program
Mhm.
for September 1st.
Yep.
And then at that point, who's gonna be doing the dispatching and the busing and all that? You?
So, well, Peggy and I, right now, we have one of the senior work-off requests is to get a new dispatcher. Peggy has agreed to take that on. So we're gonna work together. So she can let me know and I can plug that in until we can figure out a different way to go about it.
Okay. All righty. Is there anything else about that software that you want to talk about? Other than-
No, other than, when the time comes and the card, I already have like the little cards that people are gonna be scanning them with and things like that, so it's just, that's gonna be the hard part about getting them out. But I'm hoping that the outreach in town will increase and I'll be able to bring those to people myself, so, that's the goal.
All righty. New business.
Well, first of all, we still have the senior picnic in August.
Yeah, oh, I missed
So-
that, didn't I?
I've only had 5 people RSVP, and I've kind of been playing tag with Mary, who's over at Northbrook Village, because I want to drop off flyers, but they're never there. So hopefully this Thursday, I've just arranged a time for me to get flyers down there, so at least people at Northbrook can be more aware, even though it was in the Powder House News. I don't know if you've ever taken RSVPs before, if you've just kind of,
It's kind of hopeless.
Huh? It's kind of hopeless.
so you just never know who's gonna show up.
Plain on 60.
Yeah, that's what you said. So I haven't yet contacted the Red Barn to, discuss the whole catering thing. They know where I want them, but no numbers or anything as of yet because we're still.
Now, where are they gonna go for this?
It's at Norfolk Village.
You're gonna use down there?
You all voted on
That's,
Norfolk
that's what it
Village.
was. Huh? Yeah. Month.
What's on the menu?
Not sure yet. I guess it depends how many people are coming.
Last year we
What's the
had,
date on
August 29th.
fish, we had chicken.
29th.
Nice.
Thursday, August
Grilled
29th.
chicken.
And it's
I
at
don't know what
noon.
they'll have.
So one of the things that Mary over at
What time is
Northbrook, Northbrook said from last year is that there was a time, I guess the times were written as 12 to 2, so some people would show up at 1, some people showed up at 1:30, so this time I just said noon. That way, hopefully everybody would be there at the same time. Just to go off a little bit, do we need to get a resignation letter from Bev to make it official? That she's
She sent a note.
Okay, so
That's sufficient.
we're gonna have to send that to, I don't know, Mary or?
Yes, it needs to go to the appointing authority.
When does her appointment,
Oh, not for another year.
another year?
And-
Okay.
She has to make sure she goes to Eloise. Has to-
Eloise.
And Eloise.
Eloise is the one you have to get on.
Eloise,
Yes.
yeah. Make a note.
I want to thank Fran for getting a hold of people and letting them know about the farmers market coupons. I really do appreciate. The only thing I'm going to ask is if people are in need to get a hold of me, just give them the council on aging number instead of my personal phone number.
I even remember,
I got another phone call today from is it Tommy? I forget.
Anthony.
Anthony, yeah. So I don't know if you don't have it, but that's what it is. And I don't mind if people call me, but it's starting to happen a lot. And not just from you. It's my phone number has leaked out from town.
This is council on aging.
What number can you be reached at?
So unless it's like something that's
2750, the same
immediate,
number we used.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And are your hours specific for COA business?
So not as of right yet, because of the summer days and me trying to figure out how 1870 and like how I want to be able to have things that run weekly on a weekly schedule, but I don't have anything put into stone yet. Like I would love to do whether it's a game day or adult coloring or whatever whatever it might be, even if it's tea and coffee. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to work that here in this building so I can designate those times all the time. So I don't have set one yet that I want to.
So they can call you anytime.
They can call me anytime.
What are your hours here? 10 to something? or-
Well, that's what I was just saying. So I can get those messages from home, anybody that calls the COA mailbox.
Oh, they'll call this number and you.
Have them call that number and I'll always return their message. Yep.
Where does it ring? Does it ring here now?
Yes, so I
It
have the phone
does.
here. Yep.
Excellent.
So I have two in my office. I have one that goes to COA and I have one that goes to 1870.
Got it.
So I know who's is who. So as of right now, I received 10 farmers market coupons, and after I talk to Anthony, I'll have 6 left. So, and I can always get more if there's a need for them, but they just didn't want to they didn't want to take away from another town in case, because they get rid
use
of
up
them.
what you have.
Right. So I have 6 left if anybody,
Where
Can I
does it
ask
find
what
us?
those are for?
pardon?
What are those for?
So farmers market coupons, you get 10. They're, I believe it's $25 altogether. And there's designated farmers markets in different counties. So like this one in Hudson, this one in Marlboro.
Okay.
So anybody who fits in like how much they make as eligibility requirements can take those coupons and go down and get vegetables with those coupons.
Very good idea. Very good.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so from what I heard, this is the first time that Berlin's had them. So if I can keep it, so my goal is I want to get rid of all 10. So next year they'll give me hopefully more.
Yeah.
So just we'll let anybody know. I will announce it at the picnic and anybody you talk to. So
I know Hudson's is nice. That
Yeah.
little, it's small enough, but it's good
Yeah.
enough, and they have local good stuff.
Is that where
Is
Buddy
there a
goes?
Yes,
time
yes, I think it.
when they're no longer available,
so they expire on October 31st.
so people can apply up until,
Yeah, well, people can
As long
come.
as you have
Yeah,
them.
because you can do summer vegetables now, or you can wait till the fall and get apples and pumpkins if you wanted to. So it's really up to you.
Choose for anything in the farmer's market?
Anything in the
festival?
farmer's market. Yep. But there's
Okay.
designated farmer's market, and in the booklet it says where they're all located. So there's no guessing which ones you go to.
Okay.
And it's been great because like last week alone I did 3 outreach because of those.
Okay.
So that's all increasing. So I'm enjoying that.
I'm just planning ahead for myself. I'll be here in a couple of years, okay?
Not to push you on, but I've got
Yeah.
another meeting in Worcester at 6 o'clock. so-
Okay, I actually think I think that's it.
Oh, good, all right.
that's your director's report.
Is there anything else that we need to bring before us before we
That
call it
was,
a day?
that one thing that Holly wanted, about donations.
Oh, yeah, I think that, we've covered that, but
Oh, about when we get donations, because if people specify where the money,
Yeah.
they want the money, that's what we can all spend it. The problem is, I don't know if we have a list of, so we have over $5,000 in our donations account. Do we have anything that says, like, something, this is only used for
only if
us?
it came in that way.
So how do I find out if it came in that
You
way?
don't, because there wasn't any.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, there wasn't any. In this period, there used to be, Stan Whistle used to give a check, and technically the savings bank is
Yeah.
one of those that washes the hands, so it can only be used for postage. But that's basically understood as part of they break the check out for the amount, so.
Because what I would like to try to do is offer some more programs up here, because if we have $5,000, I'd like to get more programs running for the Council on Aging in this building, because now we have the room, and spend a little bit of that money for the seniors in town.
Yeah, well, the whole point of what the donations account was used for all kinds of stuff. But basically, it was a place where money that came in sort of was held there. And it's kind of the same sort of arrangement that you would have if you had a Friends of the Council on Aging, and they would have the checkbook, and they would dole you out money when you wanted it from them. That's how it could work and does in other communities. It didn't work that way here, and so it comes onto the town, goes into the town coffers, and then it comes back out. It's a nice way to audit the information, but it could be done in a different way if you wanted to.
Absolutely. You have the, what is it called, Rutland Senior Citizens, or Rutland, what's the name of the group?
Or Clinton,
Berlin's.
I say Rutland, I'm sorry.
Berlin's
My
Senior
former
Citizens.
town, wow, once in a while it's gonna happen to me. But Berlin Senior Citizens, yeah, we had that conversation.
yeah,
So you never
that's
know.
a conversation,
Yeah.
and Clinton does it, but many towns do it,
Yeah.
but for a variety of reasons it was not done here. And so you know, you can discuss that and see what you wanna do with it.
So is it okay if I just wanna know where my limits are. So if I hire somebody, to come do like a comedy show or something for the seniors, and I'm gonna put it on here, but I can take that money out of the donation account to pay for that.
The right way to do it is ask this
Before you
committee if
do
you'd
it.
like to do it.
Okay, well, I'm asking you, can I plan something like that?
Sure,
Or
but-
plan a foot clinic that might cost money?
Sure, but tell us what you want and we'll be glad to say yes, that's no problem.
Okay.
There's no problem in using the money, it's just that, you know, it was like a free account that you could put funds in for purposes of the seniors in the town, so it can be used for pretty much anything.
Because the next time we meet, my next newsletter will already have gone to print. And I really kind of wanted to do something for September and October, to have just something here to, you know,
Oh, yeah,
in an
sure.
evening or something for, so do I have a limit of amount of money that I can spend, like $500? I don't know how much these
If you
people
want
are.
to, you can, but you don't have to, you know, you're welcome to use whatever you want.
Right, but you
ask,
just
that's
said that yeah, so I'm asking, so yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes?
That's another great idea for a survey. What programs are you interested in? And maybe give them a few choices and rank them and get people interested in the various things.
Massage.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, is there something else? Well, we do have, just to recoup, because not everyone's here, we do have a resignation from Beverly. And we are gonna get a couple of those forms for new people that would perhaps want to serve on this board. And get them through the process to be given to the selectmen for, you know,
They would like.
volunteering to serve on the board, so. Outside of that, I'm good. Anybody else have a question? Motion is now to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor?
I